Artemiev gets the white pieces. So from what you know of the players, Eric, what openings do you think we'll be seeing throughout today's match?
Well, Wesley, I have such a problem playing against him because he's such a universal player in terms of his repertoire and what he's going to do. I mean, he prepares openings for these matches, but I think he can switch it up quite a bit. Whereas Vladislav, he's good in theory and everything, but not to the same degree as Wesley. So I think he's going to be going for some pretty simple structures and repeating them and just trying to maximize out of those. Whereas Wesley, at least it'll be a little easier for him to transition to something different if things aren't going well. But Artemiev is just, he likes to play pretty simple chess, doesn't rely too much on theory. Excellent technician, something I always am very impressed by, nursing small advantages. And then Wesley, well, when he's feeling good, he'll beat you at everything, tactics. Like he'll just, everything will be good. He's like a total machine. So there's a bit of a difference there. You won't see necessarily as much concrete play, I think, from Vladislav.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I was going to say he loves putting his bishop on b2. He loves fianchettoing that queenside bishop. And now we're about to see it because in this particular position, the bishop has no future with this pawn on e3 here. So it swings over to the b2 square where at some point you'll likely capture on c5 or threaten to capture on c5 to open up this bishop on a long diagonal. So, right now it's a pretty closed position. There's a lot of tension in the d4 square, but here goes the bishop to b2. And I think it would be a mistake here for black to take on d4 too early. Because if white takes with the e-pawn on d4, that opens up the rook to defend the e5 square, so the knight can jump into e5. Yeah. Whereas if you play a move like rook e8 or then queen e7, things like that, it makes white's life much more difficult getting that knight e5 jump, which is just a nice advancing move.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing to keep an eye out for is the static positions. Artemiev plays really well. And so he's trying to take back with the bishop here and just, it might be an equal position, but okay. He's not bad at milking these.
Yeah, and look at the quality of the bishops, right? We see even material. We see that both sides have a rook on the e file, but the bishop on d3 is superior to the bishop on b7. Yeah. The bishop on b7 is staring into a brick wall and really only playing, not really even on one side of the board, just protecting the pawn. It's a very passive piece. The bishop on d3 is hitting a6 and hitting h7. So it's a much more flexible bishop. And now look at Artemiev go. He puts rook e3. He wants to take over the e-file, play rook a to e1, and just say, I'm going to control the lines in this position. And once again, the bishop on d3 is the superior piece. I like white's position here.
Yep. No, it's definitely risk-free here. And a couple of very easy plans. I was almost going to say, yeah, you can't take with the f-pawn, but let's see if there's enough here. Rook c8 looks like, rook c1. Rook e8. I don't know. Looks a little bit better, but Wesley at the same time is the one who gets too bothered by these slightly worse. If it's just on the, okay.
Yeah, this rook on c1 coming for the c-file makes sense. And also, what do you think about queen g3 offering a trade? Well, actually, first thing I want to note is rook c8 is not possible because queen h3 is a queen h3 it doesn't work because the queen can drop to f8. Yeah. So if we bring up the analysis board real quickly here, we can see that queen h3 is one of those moves where you really want to play saying, I'm now hitting h7 and threatening mate on c8. Of course, black can play g6, but also bishop takes d3 is fine because that's rook c8 takes, queen takes. It's not mate after all because the black queen drops to f8.
Yeah, and after bishop b1, though, the threat renews because then in the queen f8 lines, there's bishop takes h7.
Right.
If that worked. Okay, there's g6, but there's some, I understand. I like the choice to keep as much material on the board now. Like before, trading off simplifies things for white. There's not much counterplay to worry about, but now you start thinking about, okay, I am a little bit better, and I'll need some more material for the endgame.
Yeah, and this rook e8, bishop b5 configuration is pretty good for black, especially compared to this bishop on b7, right? This rerouting of the bishop to the b5 square, it's a much improved piece, even though it's empty, right? We talk about empty diagonals for bishop. This bishop doesn't have anything to attack, and a4 will come at some point to kick this bishop, very likely. And of course, we're not going to blunder a back rank checkmate ourselves on e1, but at some point, we might consider trading queens and going after the queenside pawns if we're able to.
I think one thing that Wesley's relying on is to play g6, stifling this bishop on b1, and it would like to go back to d3, but right now Wesley's making that very difficult.
Right. Right. And rook e1, he's offering, this is now, I think, in petering out territory, right? Because without the rooks on the board and with this bishop on b5 rather than sitting kind of passively on b7, it feels like a series of trades will ensue, and it shouldn't be a problem for black. I mean, in fact, black has all the squares covered, e8, e7, e6, e5. So if white can't do anything with this open e-file, then black will probably g6, king f7, and play h. I like this move h4, though.
Yeah, right now black needs to play king f7 first. You'd like to play queen f4 and just question like h4 and d4, but you need a couple moves first, and that's going to give Vlad queen e3, h4. A little bit of still, it's not an absolute draw yet.
Right. And queen e6 is trying to make it that absolute draw. Like, please take my queen, and that way we're into a pure bishop and king and pawn endgame where the chances don't look so good to win because, well, there aren't weaknesses, there's no infiltration squares for your king, and that's why Vlad is just keeping the material on the board. And queen g4 is nice because look at this active queen here on g4.
Bishop f5.
I like that.
Forces the bishops off after g3, for example. So I think Vlad sees that, and right now he's going to look for something else because Vilas bishop f5, he knows it's a draw. I don't think he's going to play that on for very long. So it's whether he can take advantage of, let's say, queen takes h4, the queen's offside, you can play queen e7 or something. So queen e3, there's queen d1 check. Right.
And queen e1, there's queen takes d4 potentially. So the queen feels a bit stuck on d2 for the time being. Wait, what? Queen d1 check? He just blundered a piece.
I think he absolutely did, unless there's
queen my
d7.
Gosh.
Is there? No, queen just goes back to f5. That's just...
He blundered a piece.
Uh-oh.
My gosh.
Yeah.
And he didn't really react, but he's simply down a piece now.
It's a full piece with king safety for black. I mean, the king's going to be absolutely fine.
It's a full piece?
It's a free piece, full piece, everything you want to call it.
I mean, we were just talking about, you had highlighted that queen d1 check picking up the bishop was a problem if the queen moved from d2 like it did. Wow, that is unbelievable because Artemiev